Are you ready? Adler Nation starts right now. Ontario's Premier Dad predictably talks about his political opponents practicing the politics of anger and division, and he's referring to the massive backlash he's getting on his latest attempt at bribing the immigrant vote. It's time for some Canadian common sense. Dalton McGuinty has promised a $10,000 tax credit to businesses that hire new Canadians. Who knows if this plan will ever see the light of day? McGuinty doesn't exactly have a stellar record of keeping promises. He doesn't keep the good ones. Why should he keep the bad ones? Now, if you live in Ontario, you know what I'm talking about. You probably remember McGuinty back in 2003 promising he wouldn't raise taxes. And he broke that promise again and again. And of course, McGuinty does have an exemplary record of buying votes. Recall how he's given public service unions hefty raises over and over again and again. Same unions that have collected a massive war chest to attack Conservative leader Tim Hudak. So perhaps McGuinty's serious about this promise. I don't know if we can afford to trust what comes out of the mouth of one of the country's lowest rated premiers. But here's what I do know. McGuinty craves the politics of divide and conquer. His hope is to portray the Ontario Progressive Conservatives as the white people's party in a province where pigmentation is changing for reasons of immigration, culture, and the simple fact of life that people from the developing world still believe in the Lord's admonition to go forth and multiply. Among relatively comfortable white middle-class folk in Western Europe and here in Canada, having kids is seen as a burdensome economic option. As the cultures develop in different directions, McGuintyism will continue to be part of the political landscape. Never mind that his politics is most offensive to those of us who are immigrants or children of immigrants. McGuintyism treats immigrants like children, today's immigrants. Actually, to be fair, McGuinty's paternalistic nanny state treats everyone like kids. Dalton Daddy McGuinty is actually ignoring the hardworking nature of people who come to this country. He's saying they're intrinsically less able to find jobs than those born in Canada. McGuinty is insulting countless generations that landed in Canada with nothing and built this great country of ours. And of course, McGuinty is ignoring the countless out-of-work Ontarians who don't qualify for his affirmative action program. If you worked in a steel mill or factory for the last 20 years, sorry, Dalton's got no love for you. Oh, and under McGuinty's plan, only immigrants who've been here for 5 years or less are eligible for the tax credit. So he's actually ignoring Canadians born in Canada as well as slightly less recent immigrants. Oh, don't forget, Peterborough Liberal MPP Jeff Leo told us that the pandering program is really designed to meet a specific problem in Toronto. Never mind that Peterborough's unemployment rate is almost 3 percentage points higher than Toronto's. McGuinty's perfectly fine dividing Toronto versus the rest of Ontario. How many different ways is Dalton McGuinty dividing Canadians? It's actually too hard to count. Is it really too much to ask, though? Is it too much to ask to have us all treated equally? Remember the Canada we grew up in? Watching McGuinty's behavior reminds me of a number of years ago when a left-wing academic told me that my own family's immigrant story was simply not relevant in today's world because we had white faces. Those Adlers, they're white. Never mind the 60 to 80-hour work week that my dad did hunched over a sewing machine in a factory sweatshop. And never mind the days and nights where my mom was working the bakeries on her knees, scrubbing fridges and floors. And never mind my own experience as an immigrant kid, assisting my family in every way possible, doing chores at the family tailor shop. Once we were able to save up enough pennies to allow my dad to move out of that factory job and into something equally demanding, our own small business. Yes, I loaded coal into the boiler and pressed pants and stitched clothing and took in dry cleaning and delivered the same on my bicycle, regardless of the weather conditions. Hey, the story's not heroic, the story's not unique. It's a classic Canadian immigrant story. We wanted to escape European McGuintyism. But as I was told by that left-wing prof, in a Canada that's hopelessly mired in institutional racism, the Adler family did not face the same obstacles as today's immigrants because we were white. Now, you want to talk about fomenting anger and division? These are the pig droppings that are served up in our so-called institutions of higher learning, and they foster the libel. The generations of white immigrants had a free pass to prosperity in Canada, courtesy of our skin color. There is no idea more poisonous to Canadian identity than the one that says certain groups of Canadians didn't really have to work hard, didn't really have to make sacrifices to generate for their families a comfortable life in this wonderful country. Every tax dollar that goes to an academic salary to spread this ideology is money down the rat hole. And don't think this is just an Ontario phenomenon. Every vote going to scheming politicians like Premier Dad and other practitioners of left-wing racial divide and conquer is for a democracy headed down that same hole.